Special thanks to these companies for being long-term partners of this channel.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Zach. Here we talk about overlanding and tech. Today we're going to be doing a Diodynamics fog light install. And the reason we're doing this is I actually am now an official ambassador of Diodynamics. I've really loved Diodynamics products for a long time now, and I've been debating switching all of my lights to them, and so I reached out because I wanted to be an ambassador for them, and they accepted, and so it's awesome. We're gonna have a sweet partnership, and I'm gonna show you all, kind of the lights I decide to run on the truck from Diodynamics, and I think it's gonna look really awesome. So all of my off-road lighting is gonna be Diodynamics, and I'm really excited. So if you're new here, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you like content like this, and it helps my ability to create more content like this. So if you like what I'm doing, please consider supporting me in that way. Today we're going to be installing their fog light kit. It is a 4Runner, 5th gen 4Runner, specifically proprietary kit, but they have a lot of different kits like this, so go check them out because they might have one for your specific SUV. But basically what it does is it takes their 3-inch light pod and it's got a special kit so that it can mount it right in the location where your fog lights are. And so I'm really stoked to do this install. I'm particularly though going to be putting this in the fog light location and then wiring it to my switch pros because I want to be able to turn these on independently of my low beams. For some reason my fog lights, I have to have my low beams on in order to turn them on, and sometimes I think my daytime running lights on my Alpha Rex headlights are pretty bright already, and so it'd be nice to just be able to turn on my fog lights independently of that. So this is going to be a slightly more in-depth install, I guess, but you could easily follow along with what I'm doing and then just plug it into your stock harness when I decide to wire it up a little differently. So definitely follow along, and let's just jump into checking out what came in the packaging. Okay, so I just decided to assemble these. One thing that the instruction manual mentions is to not completely tighten these down, because what you want to do is you want to take your fogs and then you want to angle them down. Since this is such a wide beam pattern, if they're angled up at all, they're really going to be blinding. And since these are pretty nice bright lights, you just want to make sure you angle them all the way down once you have them attached to the vehicle. So I did connect these, and this mounting system is very similar to the A-pillar lights. There's a nut that drops into this little channel here, and then you just put a bolt with a washer into that nut. So there's 2 nuts total, 1 on each side. And then I believe we'll be using some factory hardware in these 2 holes on both sides so that we can connect this up to the bumper. So I did that for both lights, and just make sure that you have the Diodynamics logo oriented correctly and that your plug is on the bottom before you connect one of these. Also, if you notice that the bracket that goes farther forward is going to be on the side with the more risen circle, I guess. So, and then I'm not going to be using the factory switch for these. I'm going to use my switch pros, so I presume I'll probably clip this like halfway in between. As you can see, it's just a red and a black feed. So this is just really thick insulation. So what I'll do is I'm gonna clip this in half. I'm gonna plug this into the factory switch and then insulate the ends really well so that at least that other plug-in is very clean and it's kept nice in case I ever wanna use it again. And then I'll use the other end of this to actually plug into the lights and wire this into my own wiring that's gonna go to the switch pros. So that's kind of the game plan. Let's jump out to the vehicle, take off the front bumper, and attach these things to the vehicle and kind of create that wiring harness we're gonna need so that we can plug these into the switch pros.
All right, so to detach the front bumper, you're gonna have a screw right here, you're gonna have a screw right there, and then potentially one in the middle. Mine's gone. And it's all 10mm sockets. And then if we switch around to the other side, we've got this one right here, this one right here, and that one right here. And then when you crawl under the vehicle, you're probably gonna have a couple of clips like out here and here and here. With my low pro bumper, I've got this bracket I gotta disconnect. And then this little bolt out back here, but mine's kind of custom because I pushed my fender forward a bit, did a little bit of a liner mod so that I can clear my tires. So these are the screws on this side, and then these are the screws on this side. So I've got that one right there, and then I've got this big bolt that I have to remove as well. So let's remove all of those bolts and I'll show you where you kind of pull to pull this bumper off. So we've got all of the bolts taken out, like this one here, this one here. If you do have a low pro, these are 9/16, but all of the rest of the bolts are going to be just 10 mil. So now some of these have these like special clips that have a cylinder that sticks through the hole. And so you've got to make sure that you just pop those clips off. It'll look kind of like that. So go around the whole bumper, just make sure if it looks like a clip like this, use like a little flathead or something just to pop it off. Then you should be good to go. Just make your way around. Okay, so for my application, I need to make sure to unplug my grill lights. And then obviously for both of your fog lights, you're gonna wanna crawl under and just look up. You can pretty easily see where they plug in. Make sure to unplug both of those, because if you pull this bumper off and they're still plugged in, you might ruin those harnesses, that sort of thing. So it's all about just being preventative here. Okay, now something I really want to highlight is if you look at this bumper here, see how it's not flush? Well, this is a problem a lot of 5th gen 4Runners I know especially have, where this will bow out because the clips in here break. And I'll show you that when you pull on this, it kind of just unlatches like that, and I don't know a good way to pull this out without breaking them, but I believe like these clips right up here, if you can kind of see that, sorry it's out of focus. These little clips, they shave off the area in here where they hook into. So if we go on the other side, you can kind of see, if we go on the other side here, it starts to kind of bend and deteriorate and break over time. And so I urge you to be very careful when you're pulling this out and kind of go gentle so that you don't ruin your bumper and then it doesn't line up properly. So it is what it is. It doesn't really bother me, but it may bother you, so just be precautious about that. So if some of you have already taken off of your front bumper before, you'll notice that I missed this bolt. That was on purpose because I like to keep this one in until last, just so that when I'm kind of removing everything, this still holds it together so that everything wouldn't just fall off, worst case scenario. So remove that, now it should be free moving, and we can take off this front bumper. Once you've removed the bumper, taking out these fog light housings is very easy. So you just remove these 2 screws here, and then it just pulls right out just like this, and it's completely ready to install the new fog light. So this is a good way to basically figure out how you're going to assemble these, because there's actually a lot more to assembling these, and you need to make sure that they're correctly chosen. So first, what I would do is I would set your pod in the hole that you want to put it in. Obviously there's this slant to the kit, so make sure that slant is lined up appropriately, and then grab the corresponding mounting bracket that's going to fit over this pod and then drop into this hole correctly. So if you look on this side, these little loops actually line up with the threaded holes properly. If you had the other bracket fit on here, those holes would not line up correctly. So just make sure that you have all of that correctly lined up. And again, your plug is going to go on the bottom side of the light. So just to give you kind of a little snippet of how I'm cutting these, I have the original harness adapter that they include. I clipped it in half, and then I stripped back this insulation to seal off the red and the black wires. Then I'm going to electrical tape all of this and make it a little more protected, and plug this into the stock location so that everything is just clean, and it shouldn't cause any sort of like damage to the original plug if I ever want to use it again. This is kind of just like a protective cap. All right, so I'm done. Basically, we've got a red and a black connector over here. Make sure you remember which one is which if you're going to cover everything up. And then this end, we've got the entire clip soldered, cleaned up, and we've got protective plastic around the wire. So this is all good to go, and we're going to do the exact same thing for the other side. All right, well, after you mount up the fogs, that's basically what they look like. So that the reason that there's that slanted sort of cylinder outside the light is so it fits in this stock hole nicely. So I really like the way these look. They're
such a nice fit and finish in the stock location. And I've ran them to my Switch Pros, so there's not a whole lot to show here other than just there was a wire that was ran up and plugged into the power on my Switch Pros. And likewise, I ran another wire on this side down to the front for this one. So yeah, that's what they look like. That's kind of the finished product. Let's take this thing off road, and I'm gonna show you what these look like when you turn them on at night on the road. So let's go do that. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or you have a comment about the install, then feel free to comment down below and I'd be happy to answer any of those questions that you may have. This install I thought went fairly smooth, and there really were not too many hiccups. So if you are kind of timid about installs, I think this is going to be pretty straightforward and hopefully not too hard for you to do. So thanks for watching, and if there's anything I can help you with, comment down below. But until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video.